A lovely lady who was bringing up 3 very lovely girls meets the man of her dreams who was busy with 3 boys of his own. It was the ideal family. Or was it? From the studio that brought you Blumhouse's Fantasy Island, coming to a theater near you, is a story of how 2 families became Blumhouse's The Brady Bunch. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Your panel of expert hosts each week are Dr. Bryce Hansen, who holds a PhD in Frightenomics, and Professor David Day, the foremost expert in scare no-nos. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. I'm Bryce Hansen.
And I have my levels. I'm David Day.
It happened. I've made a note.
Bryce is frighteningly on point with his Frightenomics.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah, you wrote it down.
Scribbled down, like, Mike.
Make sure David talks.
All right, so before we get started, I just want to mention that we have a website called horrormovietalk.com. Go check it out and find links to all our social media. If you're new to the program, we post new episodes every Wednesday. And if you own an iPhone or an Apple product, please leave a rating on Apple Podcasts, and we will do unspeakable things for you.
We've taste.
We've got a goal of 200 ratings by, soon, ASAP. So if you could help us out with that, that'd be great. It only takes like a couple seconds. Yeah. We've got a great show today. Today we'll be talking about Blumhouse's... Is it Blumhouse?
Blum.
It's like Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, I think it's Blumhouse.
Blumhouse's...
It's like a... What do you call those little...
Like a Blumpkin.
Yes. Thank you.
It's the studio that shits in the top tank of your toilet.
Yeah, that's what a Blumpkin is. I'm so excited about this show.
Anyways, we're talking about Blumkin's Fantasy Island. This
episode cannot go anywhere but awesome. It really has no other option.
Yeah. So we start out giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being a miserable dredge, where it makes you angry. 5 being a completely average film that hits all the expected marks. And 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. And later on, since I had short time to prepare this episode, because I had to have romantic nightness with my wife.
Night terrors is what we call them.
We're going to do one special bit called It Came From Social Media, where we read comments from
adoring fans.
Lovely,
lovely people who just reach out to us and say nice things. Sometimes they say mean things. That's fine too. I'm happy with any kind of attention.
I'm
just starved.
Did you see the latest Reddit comment on my comment in our horror?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, you're not going to like it.
Oh, okay. Oh, I won't like it? I just said I would like most things. Not going to look it up.
So, yeah, let's get into Blumhouse's Fantasy Island. Okay, let's... So we went and saw Fantasy Island on Valentine's Day. I like to call it Galentine's Day, because I like the gals.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
Okay. And Fantasy Island was exactly as good as you would expect it to be, and no more.
I don't know, man. It's kind of growing on me in a weird way.
Really?
Like, it's so fucking wacky.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't think anybody would have the balls to, like... I don't know how to explain it exactly. It is so weird.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it. First, let's play the trailer that's going to get us a copyright notice.
I hope you're ready. In the elevator, you press the button to the floor with no name. Behind those doors is a life you always dreamt of.
The plane. It's here.
This weekend, you will be our guests. Here, anything and everything is possible.
No service. It's not everything is possible.
Good evening. I'm Mr. Rurik. Let me officially welcome you to Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island! I'm curious how this all works.
What if your fantasy involves a person from your life?
Holograms. Like Tupac.
What if it's somebody who died?
Tupac.
So, what's your fantasy?
Revenge on a childhood bully.
Your life is about to change. I hope you're ready.
That is a really good hologram.
There is only one fantasy per guest. And you must see your fantasy through.
It brought her back to life.
No matter what.
Oh my god. That's really her. Rourke, this is not what I meant.
What the hell is this place?
People die here.
The island's twisting what we asked for.
We weren't brought here to have our own fantasies.
I want it. I got it. I want it.
We were brought here to be a part of someone else.
I got it. I want it. I got it. I'm your friend. I've always wanted to hear you say that.
For the record, it does fall under fair use.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's the trailer.
Yeah, it's the trailer for the movie, and they use the
movie
it's promotional.
reviewers.
It's okay.
Yeah.
In case Ariana Grande or her management's listening, please don't sue us.
Jesus Christ. How could it ever come to that?
I don't know. I'd almost like to be in a courtroom with Ariana Grande.
Okay.
Blumhouse's Fantasy Island can be found in theaters now. I'm just going to keep saying Blumhouse's Fantasy Island every
Okay.
time.
Yeah, no.
Or I could go the other route and just call it FI, like Mission Impossible.
No, I think it's important to really drive home who's doing this to us, you know? Doing these things to us.
In this film adaptation of the campy 70s TV show, 5 guests played by hot, supple young actors and Jimmy O Yang arrive at an exclusive and secretive island resort run by the mysterious Mr. Rourke, played by Michael Pena. Each guest gets to experience one and only one fantasy until it plays out to its quote-unquote natural conclusion. And get this... spoiler warning, the natural conclusion is spooky scary.
Oh! Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, so my assessment of this movie upon leaving the theater was this is a 10 out of 10 for a 5 out of 10 movie.
It was obviously an accident.
It was obviously an accident, right?
And I stand by this. It's not a great movie, but it does meet the table stakes of being entertaining.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I can explicitly say is terrible, and there's nothing explicitly that I can say is great.
The end is pretty terrible. The end is so, but it's also the thing that really like.
It's like the ultimate example
had
of
me smiling.
Yeah, it's the ultimate example of expected unexpected. It's like, okay,
yeah,
they're not. I expect the twist. It's all going to come
but
together.
Did you expect the double, triple, quadruple twist?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. But what about the quintuple twist, motherfucker?
The premise is interesting enough. The dialogue isn't completely awful, and the acting is actually pretty good. I was impressed with most of the actors.
Yeah, actually, the casting is really good. The acting is pretty good. I really liked the production value. Was obviously high, and they didn't do anything too terribly bad except for writing the script.
I mean, how I judge a movie is, does it accomplish what it sets out to do? And this one does. Yeah. I mean, they hit it right in the center of the target for creating Blumhouse's version of a really dumb 70s romantic show.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like a slightly Fantasy Island, the TV show. I never really watched it. The only thing I know is like Hervé Valenciennes' tattoo saying the plane, and Roberto Montalban as Mr. Rourke, which I knew mostly from James Bond.
Yeah, I didn't even remember all this until you were like, you don't remember all this?
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, no. Well, oh yeah, now I remember. The plane, boss, the plane.
And but from what I gather, it's like a slightly more supernatural version of like The Love Boat, which I also never watched. So I'm just going off of like pop culture free association and like an understanding of, anyways. So I mean, as far as like that's concerned, making a scary version of that, sure, mission accomplished, I guess. Like I can't imagine that there's anything that would be better than this. It's just a kind of a not that great of an idea all around.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. I don't see this doing much, but I mean, they could have. I don't know. They could have like kind of tried to be intentional or like keep it together towards the end. They could have tried a little bit, but Frank, I think they could have, but I wouldn't probably have been as happy. And if it didn't do all this wacky shit, but it stayed at the same length, I'd have been very tired of the movie. But instead it just put me on my heels and left me there with me just going, what the fuck, and until this just dazzling crescendo of ridiculous insanity hit me like a freight train at the end. It was kind of weird and interesting.
Right. The fantasies each have their own unique flavor and end up intermingling in interesting ways. The 12-inch pianist genie level twists are different levels of tacked on. The most natural dark twist comes from the revenge fantasy from Lucy Hale's haughty character Melanie. This makes sense that actually hurting people that have hurt you might not be as pleasurable as you would imagine. I mean, that one's the most obvious fantasy to turn dark. Other fantasy twists range from weird but interesting to completely eye-rollingly artificial in premise.
It comes to the same moral ethical dilemma as Gretel and Hansel, which is like, you don't get anything without something else in there. Yeah. Like every gift comes wrapped in a curse. And and Gretel and Hansel pulls it off in a classy way. And this pulls it off in like a trailer park fireworks way. Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with trailer parks or fireworks. By the way, if those sound like awesome things to you, as awesome as they do to me, you should check out a little documentary that's on Amazon Prime right now called Vannin. VANNIN apostrophe. Heavy metal, heavy drinking, lots of Vannin.
The first 3/4 of the film go down a predictable and competent path to set up the premise, develop the characters and their fantasies, and show the dark side of each fantasy. The last fourth is a series of quote-unquote surprises and reveals that feel like the film version of a run-on sentence. Blumhouse's Fantasy Island isn't deep, but it is entertaining.
What are you scoring this puppy?
Yeah, right down the middle. 5 out of 10.
I didn't expect this to be as fun as it was, which was pretty fun. I wish they'd have kept the brothers together and making fun quips a lot. It's the same problem I had with Underwater, which is it's kind of a meh movie, but it's saved. It was large, a good part of it was saved by T.J. Miller. Just being T.J. Miller, and that's a fun thing to see. Who doesn't like to see that? That's why they cast him.
Right.
And these two brothers accomplished the same thing, and I just wanted more of that. They committed the same sin, which is like, we're just gonna stop that fun part a little too early. And it's like, just keep it rolling, man.
I mean, they definitely don't go really hard into the paint with being over the top with the characters.
Yeah.
A film that we compared this to that's very similar is Escape Room.
Yeah, Escape Room.
And Escape Room really had strong characters that they were like, this is this type.
Yeah.
And this isn't so much that. I mean, it's not quite. They don't like make it so obvious. They're a little more realistic than just like a archetype. But the closest thing to that is those brothers.
Yeah. Yeah. It was I'd say I don't know that I'd do. I think I enjoyed this enough to put it at a 6.
Yeah.
Not that I would. I mean, I'd probably watch it again. Even
really.
Yeah. It's weird. They have a good thing going for them in a couple different ways. Like, number one, it's so ridiculous at the end that it actually becomes fun for me. And then also, the two female characters are so well acted, so well cast, and so beautiful that it's just, I can't remember the name of the woman in her 30s or 40s whose fantasy it was to.
You don't want to say Asian is what you're trying to get around.
Well, I don't know. I mean, she might be. I can't really tell.
Her name is Maggie Q. Is the actor.
Oh, okay. So Asian.
Yeah, she is
of some variety.
Whew.
She looks. Yeah, it looks like she has mixed parents probably.
Okay,
but she's gorgeous.
Yeah,
and
like.
It's just classic beauty written all over her, and she acts very well.
Yeah,
and I'm surprised I haven't seen her in more stuff because she is stunning, and in both her craft and to look at.
Yeah, Lucy Hale and Maggie Q are the two main actresses in this movie, and they're both really good. And I feel like I've heard those names before, but I can't place it to anything that I've seen. Like. So, I mean, they have some sort of reputation in my mind from something, but I can't point to it and say, oh, I saw them in this.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were good. And the guy. Okay, so let's get into.
Yeah, so I think I go 6 out of 10.
All right, I understand that. Like, I think it really depends on your mood going into it.
Yeah.
Like, if you and your reaction about the ending. If you're like, this is fun.
Yeah.
F the ending. Or if you're like, okay, that's like the difference between 5 and 6.
Well, it swung so many times for me. Like at some point at the start of the ending, once the ending started doing the thing it started doing, I became irritated. And then it kept going so hard that I became elated. And then I became irritated again, and then I swung right back into happy for the rest of the thing. You know, it's like a joke that's so stupid that it stops being funny and then starts being funny, and through a few cycles until it just hits you like Dumb and Dumber.
Right.
It's just so ridiculous that you can't deny how funny it is, how stupid it is, and how funny it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I like those jokes that go on way too long for a really dumb.
This was this
punchline.
movie.
Yeah.
That was this movie.
So before we get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into the movie and talk about it ad nauseum, let's first talk ad nauseum about Patreon. Our patrons get exclusive access to a whole separate podcast. Called the Afterpod. We just leave the mics running, and the only way you get access to that if you pay up, baby.
Yeah,
become a patron.
You got to pony up. Also, you can get access to, so, I mean, obviously what we do here is we review movies, and that's a timely sort of thing, So, I mean, a lot of times we will be done editing the episode Saturday or Sunday after we watch it, and we'll post it right away for a certain tier of patronage. So you get to go see or not see, avoid the movie with our stamp of seal of approval or ire directed at the movie, a couple days ahead before, so, you get early access to episodes.
Yeah. So check out our Patreon. We have a link on our website in the banner, horrormovietalk.com, or you can just go to patreon.com/horrormovietalk. Got all different levels of patronage. Just check out the perks for yourself. There might be something that strikes your fancy if you're a fan. And also, you kind of get exclusive access to us. Like if our patrons say jump, we jump.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want a David puppet walking around for them?
You can also support the podcast if you're buying anything on Amazon. Go to horrormovietalk.com and click through the Amazon button in the banner, and we get a little slice of that action. It's not a ton, but it really does help out, and little bits add up over the course of a month. So you're going to be shopping on Amazon anyways. Might as well just click through horrormovietalk.com. Also, check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He is so fantastic.
A national treasure.
He is, a podcast treasure. He's a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. You can contact him on Instagram at DGOEBEL00. That's at DGoebel00 on Instagram, and make your artistic dreams come true. And I can't say enough how much I love the artwork that he does for the show. He does like the featured images, and they're first of all like great quality.
Yeah.
Just really, really great. And then second of all, it really matches the tone of the show in terms of like
he gets
comedy.
He gets us. If Dustin were here right now, I would respectfully make you suck his dick.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I would make that sacrifice for him.
I mean, I have my limits, so I can't guarantee that I would do it. But if he washed it, it would be hard to.
I have a feeling it's probably always
it would be a hard decision.
Naturally clean. Also, don't forget.
But see, the thing is he fucks hard, so I don't want him like just completely going at.
No, he's got that Teflon dick, yo. When you fuck hard, you build up like natural, a Teflon-y sort of natural inclination to just shed everything that came before. But also, you guys, don't forget to check out Shudder. That's SHUDDER.com. Over there, if you enter HMT at checkout, you get a 30-day free trial to Shudder. That's tons of streaming horror movies and shows. They've got the Dead Zone actively throwing out new episodes every week right now, and that's pretty cool. And there's an Eli Roth documentary on there, and he's disturbing in the extreme.
It's a great curated list of horror movies that you're not going to find on Amazon or Netflix. Lots of really good international stuff too, if you're into international horror. So yeah, thanks for listening, and let's get into spoilers. Spoilers.
That's a different one.
Sorry.
I like it.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
All right, good enough.
I mean, I guess I'm a pretty sick guy.
All right. So we had a Broentine's Day date yesterday. We went to an early showing of Fantasy Island. It wasn't showing on Thursday. It didn't have an advance showing on Thursday.
Carrie and I didn't have anybody to watch the kids for us on Valentine's Day because everyone was doing Valentine's Day things. Mm-hmm. And so I just said to myself and to her, I was like, let's just do it on Saturday, and then I'll make up for the work I missed Friday night. So I spent Valentine's Day night working. Like, cool.
Yeah, we almost didn't have Valentine's Day. My mom babysat for us, and she like pushed it on me like weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago. She's like, you got to make reservations. I'll babysit for you. And
your mom is.
She like reminded me early because I think we wanted to go to
someplace
the
nice.
Melting Pot last year, and when I called, all the reservations were filled up. Have you ever been to the Melting Pot?
Yeah. It's like that would be like when Bateman calls up Dorcia and he's like, "So I'd like to make reservations for tonight at 8," and the guy's just like, he's like, "Great."
So, yeah, I mean, I made reservations. Like, I was calling places.
I'm not
right in the beginning of February, and everything is always booked. And I'm just like, where's the bro code, guys? Who are these bros that are like not making last minute reservations? Yeah. Who are you?
Yeah,
because I'm like being forced to become one. You know, considerate.
Yeah, it's an arms race.
Awful.
Yeah, it's an arms race. Did you get a reservation somewhere?
I did get.
I'm not terribly hungry. I just would like reservations somewhere.
Yeah, I did get reservations, but it was mostly because it's a really new restaurant and they don't have like an easy online registration. Like, they're not on Open Table. So it was a place that you'd actually probably like. It was on the waterfront. It was called Barlow's. And it's like a...
On the Vancouver waterfront?
Uh-huh.
Sabrina, don't just stare at it. Eat it.
Did you tell her to eat it?
No. But yeah, it's not. We can talk about that later on the afterpod. But anyways, I did have a Valentine's Day date with my wife, but I started out Valentine's Day with David. So let's talk about this movie.
Yeah.
Let's just set up the premises, because that's, kind of the foundation for the movie. So the characters and their fantasies are, first, JD and Brax are super bros, played by Ryan Hansen and Jimmy O Yang, and their fantasy is to have it all, which means having a huge party with thirsty hotties of both sexes.
Yeah, so JD you will remember from such shows as Party Down, where he was the up-and-coming young star who was just in LA/Hollywood because he and catering because he was trying to make it big and he had a Palisades audition to do.
Yeah.
And then I know Jimmy O Yang, but I don't know what from. He's one of these guys.
Jimmy O Yang, he's been on a lot of podcasts that you probably listen to. He's a comedian, but he's most known for his part on Silicon Valley, where he was.
Oh yes,
he was Jin Yang.
Yeah.
He's great in that show. Other character is the former Mean Girl victim and current thought Melanie, played by Lucy Hale.
You got to put some echo on that thought.
Current thought. Melanie, played by Lucy Hale. She wants to get revenge on her high school tormentor. Gwen, which we've already talked about, played by Maggie Q, wants a second chance at life by reliving a marriage proposal. And Patrick, played by Austin Stoll, wants to play soldier and be a hero. So there's something about this movie that tells like how little care or like
effort
is in this movie. I don't know what this says about it, but when I went on IMDb, all of the character names are wrong.
On IMDb.
Like,
interesting.
Because it's like the JD character is labeled like
something else,
yeah. Like Dustin or something. Gwen is like Elaine or something like it on on IMDb. Like, I had to get these names off the synopsis, which is usually a user submitted synopsis. Weird. So anyways, those are the 5 characters. They all arrive on the island from the plane. Julia, played by Parisa Fritz Henley, greets them. She's kind of the stand-in tattoo character, but in the end it's revealed that, like, no, they really are going to go a little more literal than that. I was shocked as I was IMDb, because I swore I knew who that actor was, but she is not the actress that played Melisandre on Game of Thrones.
I don't know. I never watched
you don't watch Game of Thrones, but she, I guess, like, I'm racist because, like, all the
that's not good.
All the coffee skinned semi-fro, just gorgeous women. They all look alike to me, because I thought it was the but that's not the lady that played.
That's not like
Melisandre.
Like, to me, I don't see color. So for me, it's just everybody tends to look kind of similar. Like, just kind of everybody.
Sure.
That's not an exaggeration. It's like, especially if you look similar to other people, you look really similar to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a little tiff in the movie theater.
Yeah.
About the cast of this. Okay, so I was a dick. I will admit this, but sometimes there's just like an amalgamation of events that just cause me to
lash out in anger.
Yeah. So one of the things that sometimes David does that he doesn't realize is making comments while I'm trying to focus on the movie or the trailer, or like I'm really in the mid of just like getting in the flow of absorbing.
Yeah,
and he'll be like
in that autistic flow state.
Bryce,
I like how
there was a trailer. Oh yeah, and there was like a goofy bit where they're trying to kick in a door, and the woman's heel breaks off and she falls down, and David like
giggles,
taps me, and he's like, Bryce, her heel broke.
Yeah, I was driving the point home. It was funny. I was having a great time with my rendition of what had happened.
So there's just some of those that are just like, I don't know what you want me to get out of this, but it's just what it ends up doing is just bothering me in the moment. And then when it's revealed that Michael Rooker is in the movie, which you might recognize from The Walking Dead or the unreleased review of Henry, the Portrait of a Serial Killer,
the released movie, but so far unreleased review of Horror Movie Talks, Henry, the Portrait of a Serial Killer.
And David turned to me and was like, is that Henry? Is that the guy that played Henry? And I was like, yes, it's Michael Rooker.
I feel ire right now.
I know.
I feel attacked.
And first of all, it was like in the moment, but also I had already, like, I don't know, I prepared, or I knew he was going to be in it, and I had already thinking of it. I actually like reached out to his management through our email to ask if like
what
I was overconfident from our interview with Tara Westwood,
idiot,
that
now who's stupid.
Next step, Michael Rooker. And I was like, I wonder if like there's just if they're going to be doing interviews, if I could just like trick them to come on Horror Movie Talk.
Retard stank.
So basically, most of my care in this movie went to like Michael Rooker's in it. And then so you just got me at a bad time, and I'm sorry, David.
That's okay. That's okay. It's good that you nipped it in the bud and explained how annoying I was in before garnering your apology, because otherwise you might look like, I don't know, a real jerk.
All right. Also, I have to apologize. Aaron turned to me and said, "You need to apologize to David," because she was listening to the last episode and she was like, "That was rude that you called him not hot."
Oh, I'm very. That flew right by me. I didn't even hear that.
So I'm sorry, David. You're very attractive.
Done it now, Jordy Verrill.
You're just a lunkhead.
Lunkhead.
You lunkhead.
It sounds like he says nunkhead.
I know.
You nunkhead.
Yeah. Well, he's really overacting, and he can't enunciate very well. He's a writer. He's not an actor.
So, after the guests arrive, we're introduced to the mysterious Mr. Rourke. And he's sure is mysterious.
Yeah.
And the only thing that they provide and the setup is you get your fantasy, you get one, and it has to, and they like say it 20 times, it has to go to its natural conclusion.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I mean, Mr. Rourke, the way you say natural conclusion feels pretty ominous and threatening. Like, is this not going to work out good for me?
None of us knew what you meant when you said that. They kept going back to that point and being like, yes, but the way the movie works is this way. Check it out. Look, oh, you can't just stop it in the middle. It's natural conclusion. Remember what I said? I was like, thanks.
It'd be great if like he was talking to all of them at the same time and then just repeated natural conclusion while looking them straight in the eye.
At one point,
each of your fantasies will end in its natural conclusion. Natural conclusion. Natural conclusion.
As he looks at all of them.
Yeah, just going from one to one.
I mean, they do everything short of that. But every victim in this movie at some point reaches out to Mr. O'Rourke or Rourke? Mr. Rourke and says, "Hey man, I didn't know what you meant," or like, "This isn't part of the deal," and every time he was like, "I warned you," and all I could think of when he would like retort with like, "I warned you," like the you signed the deal by starting the game, was the first people he started the game with, JD and Brax. He basically is like, "We're going right now. We're starting it right now. You got to go. It's time to go." And so some people didn't even really get a chance to turn it down. They were just led kind of against their will to their fantasy.
Well, I mean, it's talked about that they filled out a survey, like a one-page survey about what their life was and what their fantasy or regrets were. And so it's just based off of that.
Yeah, I'm just splitting hairs here, really, but it's that kind of thing always irritates me just in real life, where somebody holds your feet to the fire over something that they think is airtight and you can poke tons of holes in.
Yeah. So the natural conclusion is it doesn't work. It's the genie tale of like, it's the three witches, but they don't turn out how you'd expect.
Yeah, I wish I were a genie. No,
you want
space.
World peace? Well, you're the only man living now.
Yeah, take that.
You want fabulous riches? Well, actually, that one will work out.
Yeah, that one seems to work out.
One seems to.
I mean, you want
mo money, mo problems. Mm-hmm. You want your dead wife to be alive again? Well, she's a scary zombie.
I think that genies are real, like real in real life, and I think that there's pretty clear evidence to support my thesis, which is there are people.
Well, there's like Christina Aguilera.
There are people who are alive who can't stop coming. That's very obviously the joke of a genie, right? Like, I just want to come all the time. And then, poof, you're coming all the time and your life is miserable because you can't stop coming.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's obviously proof of a genie.
I'm going to have to post the YouTube clip of that.
Of what?
Of the people that can't stop coming.
Oh!
And he's like... The guy's like in an interview talking about how he can't stop coming, and he's like just like wincing while he's like it's like I just can't stop. It's my life is hell.
Sounds like a fucking blast, bro.
Sounds like a blast, but it's not.
Okay, well, let's jump forward to what are these natural conclusions, because that's the ending that you expect is like, okay, where is the twist and how does it kill all of them? That's not really what the ending is.
Fortunately, we have 7 or 8 backup endings.
Yeah, the natural conclusion of each of these fantasies is really still the setup for the ending.
Yeah.
So the drug lord. Oh, so for Fantasy 1, those Super Bros,
JD and Brax, they want it all.
The huge party.
They get a party in a big house with guns and drugs.
I mean, can we take
sex.
a second to just appreciate
that blonde was
the party?
Yeah, the party was, first of all, the party I love. Like, this is my favorite thing about movies, and I've said it before. My favorite thing about movies is this over-the-top, exaggerated life of what life really is.
Of especially parties.
It's
like, the parties that you want to go to, where it's standing room only for the entire house structure, and everyone's just kind of generally gyrating about.
Yeah, there's boobies bouncing all around. There's a dude in the swimming pool with a wave runner who's miraculously doing flips and not killing anyone.
Yeah.
There's also a guy in the pool with jets on his feet who's like flying around.
Yeah.
And there's people getting splashed, and they're like, hee hee. They don't mind. Their phone's wet, and they're just like, oh, this is great. Everybody's got endless, amazing mixed drinks that come out of nowhere. There's lights that are there's music that's bumping, but it's not too loud. Like, everything is perfect in this fantasy party. There's no hangover.
Yeah. And it's obviously like the simplest fantasy, and the one that nothing could really go wrong other than maybe STDs.
Yeah.
Or alcohol poisoning or something.
Let me tell you.
Well,
do not have sex in a pool. Just don't do it. It's a bad idea. You're pushing a lot of chlorine and a lot of weird crevices. It can't work out.
Well, the twist for that one is
pH balance, ladies.
The twist for that one is the drug lord wants his house money coke back.
Yeah, he sends some assassin-y sort of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's like mercenaries, but it's the most tacked on twist. It's like the cheapest evil conclusion for any of these fantasies is like, oh no, but it's not actually yours. It's like, well, wait a minute. No,
it's the romantic
I
one.
want it all. Like, it's very simple. It's mine.
Yeah.
So,
right.
It's not, I didn't take it from, they made it seem like they just appeared in this person's house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of did.
I know. So,
but
so that one,
it's the obvious, it's the romantic version of the conclusion, of the natural conclusion. Like, the less obvious, more impressive one might be, oh yeah, but it's in a neighborhood in LA that's very near the epicenter of a nuke from China.
Oh, right. The second fantasy, the mean girl torturing a mean girl. Like I said, that one's the most relatable, or the most obvious one. It's like, yeah, you realize that torturing people's wrong. Like, it's revenge is not satisfying.
Right.
You just feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah. She was made fun of in high school, and so her wish was for basically petty revenge. But she described in detail, like, specifically torture. Yeah, I would like to torture with like a very specific monster man. Yeah, Miss Dr. Torture. Yeah. So that didn't work out well. The Gwen fantasy where she's gets a second chance at life, it actually ends up well until she realizes, wait, that's not the regret that I want to correct. There was a guy that I should have saved, and that makes me feel worse. Which is dumb. That's the dumbest. Like, that had so much more potential to be like a thought piece, because so she wishes she had said yes to a a proposal from an old ex-boyfriend from 5 years ago. And so she gets to relive this proposal. And then the next morning she wakes up and 5 years have progressed. And now she has the perfect life on a perfect island with this perfect guy.
Right.
And instead of the way they choose to go with it is, no, the thing I can't live, it's some other fantasy that I should have played out. That's what they choose to go with. When instead it seems like the obvious thought piece on that is, well, I didn't earn any of this. These are all just made up experiences.
Right.
And it's unfulfilling because I know it didn't really happen.
Right.
So
yeah, that would have been the smarter. That would have been.
Thing. I thought for sure that was where that was going because it just seemed so like such a short putt.
Yeah.
I know. Well,
the last one, the Patrick character who wants to play soldier, the twist is that the reason why he wants to play a soldier is that he lionizes his dead father that died in war, and in his fantasy, he actually comes across his father and is able to warn him about his impending death, and turns out that when heroes are warned of their impending death, they generally don't want to die.
Yeah.
And so he tries to, like, leave with his son that he just found out about as a time traveler. And so it ends up that his dad isn't a hero, but wait, actually he is. Because he becomes a hero by the end of the movie. And then the real ending for all of these, and the real natural conclusion, is a clusterfuck of crossovers.
Yeah, it really descends into madness.
If you're curious about the fantasies and where they kind of end up, that's what happens. The rest of the movie also happens.
It sure does.
So before we get into like trying to dissect what actually happens at the end, there's a couple moments that I just wanted to pull out. So one of the best introductions is the Super Bros.
Oh, I love them.
The first line is, "Yo!" and then the other one goes, "Low!"
Oh man,
it's like, all right, we get it.
And then they do some great stuff. They're like, oh, "You guys are so." One of them is very white, and the other is obviously Chinese, and one of the cop guy goes, "Hey, wait, you guys are brothers?" And they're like, "What? You think we can't be brothers because we're from different race? Look at you, racist!" And it was like the perfect mirroring of what society would do right now. I loved it. Yeah. I loved all the goofy, obvious things they did were hilarious.
The other great line from them is at the party. So, yeah, Jimmy O Yang, his character, is actually gay. Mm-hmm. He's the gay brother, and so his fantasy is to be...
Gotta cram that diversity in there. Cram it in there.
Be all gay up in that party. And so he's got like a...
But I'm raking it over the coals.
Yeah.
And it's not fair because they do it pretty subtly.
Yeah, it's just equivalent.
Yeah.
He has the gay equivalent, but also he wants a lot of weed. So
yeah.
There's a great line where the JD goes to Brax, "That weed got you paranuts." I thought it was kind of cute.
Yeah, JD had a lot of funny, hilarious nicknames for the girl, and
so I might eat my words here, but I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I don't think Jimmy O Yang is gay, because out of all the acting, his acting gay is the worst.
How do you mean?
Like, there's like a shot in particular of him like in this beefcake sandwich as the meat, and he's kind of smiling, but it's like in a way that you can just tell he is getting... It doesn't even look like he's getting any kind of sexual pleasure from this at all. He's just like, "This is great.
Yeah,
I like this."
He's probably thinking about what his dad would say.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, the Asian dad meme exists for a reason.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Jimmy O Yang is gay, and like that's just like his natural thing. But it was, in terms of acting, that was the thing that pulled me out. I was like, oh, you've met your match in trying to be attracted to hot young men, because it's very obviously apparent that you're not.
I tell you what, you put me in between those two stud muffins and you would have seen some real excitement.
I mean,
I've been like, just sniffing around. A little taste. I'll give me a little taste of that.
So the other thing that pulled me out is, and this is just a little weird thing at the beginning, the Melanie character, when she unpacks, the first thing at the top of her suitcase, and this is such a movie thing, is a framed picture.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Who, other than in movies, packs a framed picture
on vacay
on a tropical island vacation?
You have your phone.
Yeah.
You could even just take a picture of your picture with your phone and just bring your phone with you.
Yeah.
But I have to have something I'm definitely going to forget.
Yeah.
on the nightstand.
So that was weird. The whole movie really does feel like a TV show.
Yeah.
In terms of like quality and premise, like it's very apparent that this works better as a TV show than as a movie.
I would be shocked if I don't. I mean, well, I don't have cable, but this will end up on cable.
They already made a remake of Fantasy Island, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. I mean, but this just seems like such a hole-in-one on cable.
Oh, yeah.
On deep cable. It's
this will be like on Sci-Fi Channel or something like that. Yeah. The monsters, and it ends up like the horror part of it is so tacked on, and it's so non-committal.
Yeah, it's not
to where it's like, I don't know. Look, there's drippy black goo sometimes.
Yeah.
Look, you hear drips, but it's not really ever explained why they hear it everywhere.
Yeah. It's because it's the water. It's the water of this place.
The water is poisoned, and that's what grants the wishes, because mysterious stone.
Right.
And all of the people that are generated by the fantasies are
made of this black goopy water.
Black goop, and then if you kill them, their eyes explode in black goo.
If you saw Black Christmas, the 2019 reimagining, then you will definitely recognize the bad guys. 100%.
And then once they get resurrected into black goo zombies, they turn into what I call the runny mascara monsters.
Yeah. They look like they've been crying for a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, that stuff is tacked on. Also tacked on is Michael Rooker's character, which isn't super necessary, and they don't really commit to it. But he's a private investigator that's investigating the island, and he's like kind of a commando in the jungle wilderness that just kind of shows up randomly.
I so seriously want to meet the writers of this script and scripts like it, because there are so many. And I assume they're making a great living. They're writing parts for Michael Rooker. Mm-hmm. They're terrible at what they do. Objectively bad.
No, I don't agree. I think this was a very serviceable script. I don't think there's... I have seen
floored by what you're saying.
I have seen so much worse.
Yes, sure, but that's not the point. That's not the point. Like, of course you've seen worse. Bad is the easiest thing to achieve. I'm just talking about serviceable.
Uh-huh.
This is not...
You don't think this is a serviceable script?
I do, up until a point, and then they just shit their bed all over the place. It's so insane that I liked it. Like, and it's not intentionally that way. It's not Tucker and Dale versus evil. This is
right.
This is Fantasy Island, and and who is getting paid tremendous? I don't want to say I could write this script, because I don't think I have the amount of delusion required to to give this to somebody and be like, print it. Yeah, have Michael Rooker say these lines. Have him say them.
Yeah, I mean, see here, I just recognize how much harder things are than they appear, and like getting a script that delivers the setup and premise and character development without being completely
there's
obvious.
A good chance that they just whole cloth stole all the premises from different shows of the actual Fantasy Island, and then once they played out all those premises, then they had to come up with something original, which is the end, and they couldn't do it. Well, yeah. I mean, it was original, but not good.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but a couple weeks ago I watched Hellgirl in preparation for Tara Westwood's interview.
Yeah.
And there's way more people writing those scripts than there are writing this type of script.
I think if you and I put our heads to it, we could write a better script than Fantasy Island.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to see if we can do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Michael Rooker's character just kind of shows up randomly, and then it's revealed that he's a PI and he's going to help the two girls get off the island, and then he dies unceremoniously. I wish they would have committed a little more and made him more of like a fish out of water. Like it seemed, because he appears as like a badass commando, but then it's revealed
like
that he's
grizzled pro.
Yeah,
but he's been there for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So it'd be better if he was like, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I just have a machete and I'm running around the island.
Yeah, he was the obvious.
If he could play against type more, it would have been more entertaining, that character, I think.
Not only that, that's true, but
or
also,
you know the character. Sorry, before you go on.
Yeah, no,
the character exactly that it would be great is the Nick Nolte character in Tropical Thunder. That character is like what this should have been, which is he's the badass jungle guy that's revealed to be like a complete fraud. In the movie.
Yeah, I mean, anything. They threw him away like they just got confused with what to do with him. And he was the obvious sane conclusion to this movie. Like,
right.
This, but it just had to go. I think, I don't know, maybe that's genius. I can't tell. It's not genius.
It was like the Deus Ex Machina that you expect.
Yeah.
And then it actually settles on the third or fourth Deus Ex Machina that comes up.
Seventh or eighth.
Yeah. The way that this film's ending unfolds is a lot like The Perfection that we reviewed
the summer.
Last year, whenever it came out on Netflix.
June of 19.
The Netflix The Perfection was a lot more kooky, like ridiculousness in its ending, and I wish this film's would have been a little more ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's very similar in the fact that it's 10 twists that are arbitrary, and they're just to say that we had a twist and try to be cool about it, but it's not that cool.
Yeah, it's like man, it's so strange. It's like someone got stuck being like, well, what's the clever thing to do at the end of a movie? And someone in the room says, well, you put it, you know what I mean? Who's the best movie maker of all time? Well, obviously Alfred Hitchcock. Well, what does he do? He puts a twist at the end. What's better than one twist? 25 twists. It's like, okay, that's not better than one good one.
And then like some of the ending stuff felt tacked on. Like they're in these caves and they get met by like their shadow versions or their fears or something like that, and it feels kind of it-y.
Yeah,
like the movie It, to where the one mean girl is like, I don't believe in you. You're not real. And just like kicks her like what's it called? Not hobgoblin. It's like the
doppelganger.
Doppelganger.
Queen Doppelpopulus.
Yeah. And it's a little weird. So let's try to reveal what the actual ending is.
Okay.
So the first thread comes from Maggie Q's character. The real regret that she wants to write is there was her upstairs neighbor was killed by a fire that happened in her kitchen.
Yeah.
And so she goes back to relive that, and she sees all of the other characters like in this apartment building. The two bros are
the cop
are running away from the building. They won't help her save the guy, and the cop, which is the army army man guy, he's a cop and he won't help, and so that's another one of his regrets. So it's setting up that like actually everyone's regretting everything that everyone wants to really solve is this death of this guy named Nick.
No regrets.
No regrets. And then the twist is that Melanie was going to go on a date with Nick.
With the guy who died in the apartment
and
fire.
So that's what her connection is. But wait, it's not that. The twist is it's not everyone's fantasy. It's Julia's fantasy.
Right. The victim of the torture.
No. So like before that's revealed, the premise is actually I think before the fire stuff is like it sounds like Mr. Rourke's assistant Julia, it's actually all her fantasy. But then it's revealed it's not, that actually it's Melanie's fantasy to
Maggie.
No.
Oh, Melanie. Yes.
Yeah. Is the girl that wants to get revenge. Yeah. She was going to go on a date with the guy that died, and she blames all of the other visitors for Nate. I can't remember if it's Nick or Nate. Nick's death, because the bros were actually Nick's roommates, and they left him. And the cop didn't do anything, and the Maggie Q character didn't do anything and try to save him. And so Maggie Q, her character, tries to save him and passes out from smoke and isn't able to save him anyways, even though she was given a second chance. And so it's revealed that it's actually Melanie trying to get revenge on all these people. But maybe it's actually it's all happening because Mr. Rourke, his fantasy is to relive his
wife alive.
Dead wife.
Because she dies every day because she's really dead, but the island's keeping her alive.
Does this sound convoluted yet?
But wait. It's really the victim of Melanie. It's her fantasy. She got all them there, but no, wait.
It's like, so the ending is, so it's Melanie's thing and she's going to kill all of them because that's her fantasy and it's unavoidable. But wait, her mean girl tormentor, she was just brought here and she didn't get to have her fantasy yet. Yeah. And so she gets to spend her fantasy / wish to kill Melanie?
Question mark?
But and then Mr. Rourke like gives up his fantasy to write things. It's so...
Listen, I cannot understand you!
Dingo!
So it ends...
Listen, I cannot understand you! It's crazy! You're a fool! I can't cope with the stupid bitching! Understand?
So the aftermath is we end with 2 people being dead. JD, one of the brothers, ends up getting shot in the ending, and then
rip in peace, bro.
And then Melanie, which ends up being the actual villain of all this, is killed as well. But wait, there's more, because at the very ending, it's revealed that Brax, he was just living out JD's fantasy, so he didn't get his fantasy yet, so he spent it on letting his brother be able to be alive again, but for his brother to be alive and survive, he can't leave the island, so he has to stay and be Mr. Rourke's assistant in replacement of his dead wife that Mr. Rourke gave up his fantasy for. So now, get this, Brax has the nickname T, and it's revealed that it's because he has a bad tattoo, and they called him Tattoo.
Because he has a tattoo that says tattoo on him.
I figured it out instantaneously when Michael Peña's character said, like, but you won't be able to leave the island, and I was like, oh, Jimmy O. Yang is the shortest character, so he's Hervé Villachez.
Some minor Bryce called it thing just happened.
Yeah.
That's a callback to more than a year ago.
I mean, there was only like 2 minutes lead notice to try to predict it, but it was very obvious. Like, oh, he's short. He's Hervé Villachez. He's the midget that says the plane now, and he's named Tattoo. The end.
Yeah, but is it?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, the ending put me on kind of weird cloud nine of being like, this is so fucking dumb. I love it.
I mean, there was times during all the twists and counter twists and reveals and like there were so many times where it's like, oh, he's dead now. Nope, he's alive again. But wait, this person's alive, but nope, they're dead actually.
He's got mascara on his face. You know what that means? Oh.
So, I mean, there were several times during the ending that you couldn't help but smile and be like...
You're forgetting the most important part of this movie.
Okay.
This movie has lots of symbolism, Bryce. There's lots of symbolism.
You mean the snake?
There's a snake on everyone's lapel, on everyone's nightstand, or in the background of every shot. There's a snake. This is like a snake island. It's not Fantasy Island. It's like Snake Island. But we don't want to go there. We want to go to Candy Island. What's there? Just smaller snakes. But is
this a Simpsons reference that I can't remember?
But what's all the snake references about, Bryce? There's some snakes in the cave. You dumb idiot.
No, but the snakes are arms.
And then the snakes turn into arms. Yeah, well,
is like,
it's hard to describe how
is
deep
the
it
snake symbolism like calling back to the Garden of Eden, like the knowledge of good and evil and welcoming death? Am I gonna give credit enough to this movie to have any kind of actual symbolism, or just say that there's a symbol of a snake that happens?
There's a part in a hallway that's filled with water where there's some snakes in the water. They're called sea snakes. Don't wiggle too much. And
anyways,
that is Fantasy
Blumhouse. Blumbert's.
Yeah, that's
Blumpkin's Fantasy Island. So, who would like this? What's our final recommendation? I do think it would be a decent date movie. Like for an entry level horror movie, getting your girlfriend or wife that's not super into horror movies. This is like TV level horror that you could take them to, and it's not going to be crazy.
There are some wonderful looking ladies in this movie.
Yeah, that too.
And there's some pretty funny stuff that happens, including the ending.
Yeah.
I don't know if this sounds like you know who you are. If you've listened to this and you go, I fucking get it. I want to see this because it'll be fun.
I think high schoolers would love this too.
I didn't want to say it, but I mean,
like that's the thing about this movie. It's PG-13, and we didn't really talk about it much, but it's completely bloodless to the point of distracting.
Right.
Because of the black blood, number one.
There's
which is
some
like
blood, like, you know, you can have a little dribble coming out of a nose or a mouth every now and then, but nothing past that.
It's funny when they like threaten it, where it's an explicit thing where what's happening right now. I did
catch a few things of blood on hands, on mouths.
Right. I mean, that's fine too, but one of the scenes has a one of the mercenaries taking out a Bowie knife and going to
and hacking somebody.
It looks like he's going to chop off his hand, so he's going down and sawing into the guy's arm, and it doesn't show anything any blood at all. It just shows his face, and you're like, okay, well that kind of neuters that, and it's not. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, I think younger viewers that aren't jaded as shit as we are would really enjoy this. I think it's a decent date movie. Maybe not the best Valentine's movie, but you're hearing this way after Valentine's Day anyway. So
yeah.
I don't think it's doing too great in the box office.
What are you talking about? It's only been out one day.
Yeah.
You got to give it time, Bryce. The movies of this stature need to marinate.
So that's our review of Blumhouse's Fantasy Island.
Oh, that was a good one. I like that. So next we have...
It Came From Social Media.
Yes, it came
from social media.
To fill the world with terror, to bring you unforgettable suspense. What was it? Where did it come from? Who were the all-powerful creatures it brought
from social media?
And what did they want on Earth?
It Came From Social Media is just a part where we read comments from fans or people that reach out to us on social media or leave reviews. Big grab bag of listener participation. It's been a couple weeks since we actually recorded an episode.
Yeah.
So we've got kind of a backlog, and a lot of people reached out, and we always love it. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We'll get messages from anywhere, and yes, we will probably respond to you like thirsty little bitches.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because that's what we are.
Yeah, we just thirst for that sweet, sweet interaction. First up, and this is a real rare occasion, we have a subreddit called Horror Movie Talk. It took a lot of time to come up with a name for it. Yeah. But we made it. It's r/Horror Movie Talk, and pretty much the only people on it are us. And we love upvoting our own things that we post, and doing the Field of Dreams thing where if you build it, they will come.
Somebody really downvoted your quick review video on our subreddit. A couple people, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I got there and it was down the voted.
The last one?
Yeah,
I think it ended up being okay. See, I tried a different thing this time, which was I reposted it to to Scary Movies.
Mm-hmm.
And last I checked, it was up, but
doesn't matter.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of posts on Scary Movies about Valentine's Day or about Fantasy Island by the time I posted. Anyway, so user Save Poor Bob was actually one of the first people that's talked to us on our subreddit.
And aside from Cotton Hill.
And Cotton Hill, yeah. And there's someone else that actually did a post asking us about something a while back.
Yeah.
Anyway, Save Poor Bob, he commented on our post on the Color Out of Space episode, which is out right now with our interview with Tara Westwood. You should check it out. It's a good episode. He said, looking forward to listening. I just recently found y'all's podcast, and I'm really loving your smart dissection and insightful reviews, as well as the humor. You guys work really well together, and the audio quality is great. Also, I really like that you don't pull any punches when giving your honest take on a film. Have you considered reviewing The Haunting of Hill House? And I had a further conversation with him about shows like that. We actually love Haunting of Hill House.
We've discussed We've discussed reviewing it.
It's just hard going back to it. I mean, we'd have to watch it again because I can't remember enough to comment on it. But he was talking about two examples would be Haunting of Hill House and Mariana, which were both, I mean,
really good
as far as horror stuff,
shows.
Those two were better than 90% of the movies that we've watched in the last 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. But it just does present an issue because it's like watching a 10-hour movie. Yeah, which is, long.
It really comes down to time. The time that we have for the podcast, we fill up pretty good. I'm scratching my balls.
Yeah, I can see. Oh. I have eyes. Oh my God.
We're kind of stretched to the limit now, so it's hard. But there might be a way that we could.
Yeah, we're spitballing some ideas here. Yeah,
one of the ideas, like, just
lazy reviews.
Lazy reviews.
Yeah.
If like a movie, like a second movie comes out in a week that we see but can't do a full review on, just doing a lazy-sode where we just kind of talk about it for a while, kind of like we do on the Afterpod. Very little preparation, like a shorter episode where we like explicitly don't edit it.
Yeah,
because that's what takes a ton of time.
Yeah, you know, so I listen to Joe Rogan pretty regularly, and he has his regular show, and then he has the JRE MMA shows about the mixed martial arts. And I just never listen to those, really. It's just I just, you know, you just label it differently, and then you know, if it's their jam, you know, then they listen to it, and if they don't, they just don't download it. So
yeah,
could work.
So, anyways, he reached out to us. Thanks for commenting. Save poor Bob. Also, let me get my phone. I can't figure out how to pull up messages on Instagram on the desktop.
You have to switch it. You actually have to go inspect element or you have to go inspect element and then turn it over into a phone, turn your browser into a phone.
Yeah, I did that and I still couldn't. There's still like one other step that I couldn't remember. Anyways, one comment was from last episode or the episode before. We talked about comment from Poetry and Cigarettes, and I have to apologize because he reached out the last week and said, wow, that was awesome to hear you mention my message on the latest episode, but I am actually a dude. I currently live in Palm Springs. But it sure makes my day regardless. Good day to you too. So yeah,
we just heard what we wanted to hear.
I conflated him with another Instagram user that I was communicating with that is up in Seattle. So I apologize for that, Poetry and Cigarettes.
But don't be sexist. You know, I mean, in this day and age, if you're not okay with being either, then you're probably a dick.
Right.
So
yeah. Are you calling Poetry and Cigarettes a dick?
No. Well,
how dare you?
I don't know. No, I'm just asking. I'm not asking anything.
Another
What about Mrs. Kitty Hurd?
Mrs. Kitty Hurd reached out and said, guys, I just joined Shudder using your promo code, and it is so cool. Thanks so much for the freebie. So that offer again is if you use HMT at checkout, you get 30-day free trial instead of 7. She says, I'm catching... It says Mrs., so I'm going to assume that it's a she.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's safe.
Or it's Misters.
Or let's just say Zimzer.
There we go.
Z says, thanks so much for the freebie. I'm still catching up on all your episodes, and by now my kids and husband know your voices because I play you off Google Home while I'm working every day. You're practically family now.
Hey.
Crying, smiling emoji. Might be worth explaining. I don't know. Should I
read the words?
Yeah. Might be worth explaining that I have complex PTSD, so finding a podcast like yours that makes me laugh and smile so much is pretty amazing. Anyway, you didn't need the bio, but thanks for the promo code and the constant company when I'm low, and I'll keep sharing and promoting the crap out of the podcast to anyone who will listen. Hey. And I really appreciate it. There's been a couple listeners
Listen, baby doll. We love you.
Yeah.
With all our hearts.
Yeah.
And anything we can do to help, you just let us know.
And if it's making fools of ourselves,
oh hell yeah, I'm all over that. Better.
Yeah, that's not the first listener that's said we've helped out with mental health issues,
which is nice to know because we both have a fair share of our own.
Right.
If you hop onto our Patreon and listen to some of the afterpods, you'll get a strong taste of our mental illnesses.
Right.
Because we don't let them out so much. I mean, you know what we sound like here, but
I mean, we all know life is meaningless and hopeless. But we keep that off of this podcast and put that on Afterpod.
And now you know a little bit more about Bryce.
Oh, life is meaningless.
Also, of course I know.
I'm not the only one that knows that.
I just don't let it get to me like you. What about what K-Mitch said on Apple Podcasts?
K-Mitch left a review on Apple Podcasts, which is our favorite place to communicate with viewers. Please, if you own an Apple product, even if this is your first time listening, if it is, you're probably not listening to this because it's the end of the show and no one ever listens to the end of the show. Leave a rating on Apple Podcasts. Anyways, KMitch22 says, this podcast is the best. It's a 5-star review, by the way. I didn't care for Hereditary and hated Midsommar, and these guys love them both. I think it says something about this podcast that those were 2 of my favorite episodes. Even when I don't share their enthusiasm, Bryce and David find a way to make my day. They've even gotten me to watch movies I didn't want to see just so I can listen to their review. Here's to watching Backcountry and being terrified of bears for 3 weeks. Keep it up, guys. And he signs it Kobe M.
I can't shake Backcountry. I really can't. Like, I think about it more often than not just because it's believable.
Well, I'll tell you, we're planning a family camping trip to Yellowstone because Aaron is having a family reunion in the eastern side of Idaho, which is right next to Yellowstone. So Aaron was like, well, we're just going to go camp at Yellowstone, right? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. I got to pack up a fucking van full of camping gear and drive for 12 hours
Big old grizzlies that really, really know a lot about people.
Our kids were really, really excited until they realized that there's coyotes in Yellowstone. And we're like, no, see, this is the experience of being parents of young kids. You're like, no.
That's not what you're scared of.
That's not what you should be scared of. There's coyotes here. There's coyotes that eat cats, like, right next to our house. And then they're like,
wow.
And you scared them shitless, but they still really don't want to go to Yellowstone because of the coyotes. And he said, no, don't worry. There's grizzly bears. There's the real terror.
Grizzly bears, bison. I mean, if we hit the right time in the rut, then elk are really dangerous. Also, there's moose. It's like all the most deadly things.
Yeah.
Coyotes are just little. They also have wolves there. Big packs.
Yeah. Coyotes are the least. I mean, they're just going to run away. They're not going to really nip little kids. Maybe Colin would.
Oh yeah, he'd be tasty.
But yeah, really the grizzlies have zero fucks and they will eat you.
Yeah,
and so now our kids really don't want to go to Yellowstone, so that's going to be fun.
Runner on Twitter says, I am a new fan. I've only been listening for about 3 months now, but I really like it. If I had to say my favorite horror movie, I would probably be the 1978 original Halloween, with the 2017 It coming in at a close second. Keep up the good work. As I've marinated over the last 2 or 3 years on the original Halloween, it is interesting to the point of being, such an obvious classic. Yeah, and so defining for the genre.
I totally get that it's a classic. It is a quality movie. I appreciate it. I just don't care.
It is a little hard. It's very slow for me.
I just end up I'm just not into slashers.
Yeah,
and if you're into slashers, that will be your favorite.
Well, I think Texas Chainsaw is by far the best slasher, and it's I love it. Like, it's entertaining and disturbing.
Yeah, but I think Halloween underlines the actual fear the most, which is unseen, unknown, like no motive, but he's attacking you with a knife. Like, it's just a person that wants to kill you for no reason.
I can't relate to that. I just can't relate to that. I can much more easily relate to the perversion in Texas Chainsaw. Okay. The perversion is terrifying. The people who are willing to live in a house of murder and just eat others and do arts and crafts with body parts and that kind of, Ed Gein kind of stuff.
Right.
But I do love the 2017 It.
Yeah. Last one from Hank. He's at Rubber Kaiju on Twitter. he followed us, and I asked him if he was a fan of the podcast, and he says, I am. I just started listening to you guys through Spotify. My favorite is probably Child's Play 2. I asked him what his favorite movie was.
Dude, I got to see Child's Play 2. It seems like it's... I think that's the one where that ends in the toy factory. I think I've seen bits and pieces of a lot of Child's Play movies, but I can't say I've actually seen any all the way through, except for the first one and the 2019 one and the 2017 one.
I feel like Child's Play 2 is the one where his face is all fucked up.
Yeah, it gets melted or something. I can't
remember.
But I do love the Child's Play series. We got to get more into Child's Play.
Yeah. And Puppet Master. And he goes on to say, I really appreciate your guys' review of The Grudge. I really enjoyed the film and felt crazy since I couldn't find a positive review of the movie until you guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Everybody else is gaslighting you. That's a good movie.
Yeah. Tara Westwood also, from the movie, also agreed with us there.
There's some sort of group psychosis going on where everybody just decided to hate that film.
Yeah. Fantasy Island also got similar Rotten Tomato scores to The Grudge.
Not deserving.
It's like, I don't know. Horror fans are so fickle. Just post anything to our horror on Reddit, and you'll understand how fickle and jaded horror fans are.
Not just fickle, angry.
Yeah.
Just hateful and angry.
Because each one has their own favorite subgenre and hates every other subgenre of horror.
Which I can't relate to.
And they're just like, fuck you, it's not a slasher, it's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
Or, fuck you, it doesn't have ghosts.
Where's the blood? I need lots of blood. Yeah.
This is dumb because they took time. And explored characters.
Ugh.
It's the most boringest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a cesspool. I did look at the guy who you were talking about at the start of the episode on the horror subreddit. Who said,
so I posted,
who said you're fair to middling as far as interesting, and the other guy referring to me is just cringe.
Yeah.
To which I'll own all of that. Yeah. And thank you for your remarks. You're feeding my ego appropriately.
Yes.
And I appreciate you reaching out to us and talking to us.
Little do you know, that's exactly what David is going for.
That's exactly what I'm every time.
That's David's lane.
Listen to our interview with Tara Westwood.
Like when he turns to me and goes, her heel broke.
And then Bryce gets irrationally angry because he knows I'm trying to annoy him.
Okay, thank you for listening. That's our show for today. Please share the podcast with a friend. It's the only way that we grow. Trust us. We do not have money for advertising, and we're too introverted to step out and ask anyone around us to listen to us or leave a review. We depend on you, the listener, to share the podcast with a friend, and Google to show our podcast on search results and hope that people stumble across it.
Just find your friends and be like, you're a pervert, you'll like this show.
Also, don't forget the offers. Amazon, if you're going to buy anything on Amazon, go to our website, horrormovietalk.com, and click through the button in the banner before you purchase so that we can get a little taste. Check out our Patreon for all the different levels and perks that you can get as a listener to Horror Movie Talk.
We're about to record a whole nother podcast right after this that's only going on Patreon, so you'll be missing out if you don't join up.
And thanks, everyone, to our listeners that reached out to us on social media and all the supporters and all the good words. Thank you to all the people that follow those instructions.
Make sure to check out Dustin Goebel at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram. He's the best artist I've ever seen in my entire life. Way better than Hoodie Picasso. And, so just check him out. And also, 30-day free trial on Shudder if you check out with HMT. We love you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
It was obviously an accident. I mean, the boy might have got scared and panicked, right?
That could be a logical explanation.
So it was one of those fluke accidents we could not have foreseen, and that is all there is to it.
I don't know.
It was an accident!